So what do you think? Did this just assure his presidency? Let me know in the comments.
Do I think this assures the presidency for Donald Trump? In a word, no. I think there's the failure to recognize what we are actually up against. They being the deep state, the shadow government, the Marxists, the globalists, the Luciferians, they're not trying to energize Trump's base. They are trying to manipulate his base. Now, there are a lot of moving parts and everything is interconnected, but I'm going to try to stay on just one train track of thought. A few years ago, I did a video called The 6 Essential Reasons That the Left Hates Donald Trump. And in my opinion, the number one reason is that he represents a return to the patriarchy. When you consider the current cultural climate of this country, there is a decidedly feminine energy and spirit that rests and resides over it. With Donald Trump, he exudes a masculine energy. Now, go back to 2020, and the two most powerful political forces in this nation, they were BLM and Donald Trump. BLM as an organization, an entity, they are anti-man in general, and anti-black man in particular. And they push a divine feminine spirit and energy. And I've explained all of that, who and what they actually are, in my playlist called Agents of Chaos. Now, one of BLM's stated objectives was the dismantling of the patriarchy, that which Donald Trump represents, the patriarchy and masculinity. So naturally, they were going to clash. And you notice now that Donald Trump is out of office, you haven't heard too much about BLM. Other thing to keep in mind is that, now, believe it or not, I'm actually answering your question. For generations, there has been an attack on the patriarchy and manhood. Marxists, through the feminist movement, have made tremendous inroads over the last 80 years. Contrary to popular belief, the feminist movement, their agenda is not about the liberation of the woman, nor is it about equality. They push the concept of equality to gain acceptance among the population. But in reality, their goal is the reordering of all culture, civilization, and even nature itself. They're trying to do away with gender. So basically, their goal is chaos. And then also bear in mind that the more radical among them, they believe that anyone who exudes masculine energy isn't fit, capable, nor qualified to lead. Okay, so now let's talk about the attack on manhood. And we're going to start with the attack on the black man first. They went after the black man first. Why? Because he was easy prey. Marxists understand that historically, this government has demonstrated a reticence and a reluctance to protect the black communities and the people of those communities. The number one way to oppress a people is to deny them equal protection under the law. So with this attack, I think about the black man. They marginalized him in his own home. They ostracized him in his community, prison industrial complex. They criminalized his very existence. They dehumanized him, and then they feminized him. So then the goal wasn't to just get the black man out of the home, thereby turning the black community from a patriarchy into a matriarchal community, but it was also to remove the warrior spirit out of the man. They have replaced the warrior with the thug. Now here's what people need to get. The Marxists, they made the attack look racist when it wasn't. The attack was actually on manhood, the masculine principle. Now let's talk about the attack on the white man. They're going after the white man in the exact same way. Why? Because they run the same plays over and over again. They've marginalized and ostracized the white man. he's not allowed to voice his opinion in public forum. Even when he himself is the topic of discussion, he's still told his opinion don't count. They've criminalized his existence. They call him colonizer. They have dehumanized him. They call him toxic. And now they're trying to make him feminine. They're trying to take the warrior spirit out of him. So again, they made the attack on the white man look racist when it ain't. The attack is on manhood. So why are they going after the white man now? Because the Marxists believe that the straight, Christian, conservative white man, heterosexual white man, with guns is the last line of defense. They believe that he is the only thing now left standing in between out Marxism. So the goal is to make him tap out, turn him into a bitch, basically. Now here's the problem with the nature of the attack. As men, because we think the attack is racial, we always respond out of our race, out of our blackness, our whiteness, and we never respond out of our manhood. And when we respond out of our race, all we're doing is playing into their hands and furthering the divide and increasing the racial tension and strife. I got a 4-part video called Story Time, and I got another video called Seditious Narrative. And I talk about the slave narrative and how it impacts the identity of both groups. It's a cold game. And the idea with that is that so that no matter what side of the story you're on, you see yourself as victim. And if I need to clarify that in another video, somebody just leave a comment. Again, I'm trying to get this done in 10 minutes, but I'm starting to ramble now because there's so many rabbit holes. But let me say this, since we're talking about guns. They're going to use 4A and 5A to get around 2A. Why? Because 4A and 5A are the easiest rights to violate. The government can just make stuff up and say you did it. Case in point, January 6th. Citizens showed up to exercise their constitutional rights. The government turned around and said insurrection, conspiracy, false allegations that they just made up. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe insurrection and conspiracy ain't those felonies. And if you are a felon, can you own a gun? I'm not sure about that last part because I have several friends who are felons and they all got guns. Here's my point. It's been 8 years nonstop of people fighting for Trump and with Trump. And if he loses, especially if they pencil whip him, or God forbid, we already saw the breach, and something even more horrific happens, that's going to have an adverse effect on his base. Either they become despondent and just take a whatever attitude in terms of losing hope, or if they get active. Either way, it's a win for the Marxists because if his base gets active, all they have to do then is enact martial law. Yeah, I see us being greatly manipulated. They're very close to getting a female president in that office. I don't see them letting that get derailed. Also, they sent Trump a very clear message. We can get to you. So the idea is to try to make him capitulate and play ball. So if he gets in, he will either play ball or they will send him to Dallas. And here's what we know about them boys down in Dallas. They don't miss.